good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today of Smart Onboarding. My name is Tina Lucio, and I'm a Business Applications Specialist here at Microsoft. As we go through the content here, feel free to type in any questions that you have in the chat window, and we will try to do our best to answer them as we go through the content. Speaking of the chat window, maybe we can start with a quick guessing question. Can anyone guess in the chat window what percentage of new employees said that the employee onboarding experience significantly influenced their decision to stay at a company long term? You might have to use the chat window for it. I see Tracy is typing with a few other folks.
Okay, I was hoping the chat was open.
There we go. You guys are pretty close. Nearly 70%. In fact, retaining new hires in today's market is a tough job. Nearly 30% of employees leave within 6 months. And when you start to consider the short tenure average of millennials, it's clear that an effective onboarding experience is crucial to retaining these new hires. So in today's session, we're just going to be sharing best practices around new hire automation to help our clients become more innovative and efficient in today's market. I want to quickly kick us off this morning with one of my favorite use cases on this topic with Sone. Sone is an international company based out of Portugal with a diversified portfolio of companies spanning across 62 countries globally. They run a highly sought-after training internship program that attracts over 300 applicants annually. In fact, in the article, I think it said that since the inception in 1986, they've had over 48,000 applications through the program. They desired really a digital solution to be able to attract and retrain these new candidates. Before implementing automation, I think they spent about a week across 3 HR employees using Excel sheets, Post-it notes, emails, and constant communication back and forth to schedule the interviews. And while much of the focus was solely on the scheduling process, it was still wrought with human error and rework. For example, candidates would get scheduling invites for 2 a.m. for an interview instead of 11 a.m. They quickly realized how painful this was, not only for their HR team, but also their candidates, and they realized they had to make a change. So they decided to implement automation. They created a SharePoint page where candidates could book meetings with available leaders. Candidates would go to the SharePoint, search for their desired business leaders, and a flow that ran in the background ensured only available appointments were made visible to these candidates. Then they would select the Book Now button, which triggered an automated workflow to check for availability, avoid double bookings, schedule the interview, and notify all the participants. The process that previously took Sone about 3 full-time HR employees in a week to execute now happens in 30 minutes with no intervention and 0 errors. And while the productivity gains for them were significant, I think the major win for them was the quality of work. I think we've all been told since a young age that first impressions are key. And now the potential candidate's first impression with Sone is one of effortless ease. As you can see, the Power Platform continues to meet business needs faster, improves efficiency and productivity, and helps our customers create integration across the multiple disparate systems that they're using, whether that be Workday, ADP, iCIMS, or some other application. But I think most of our customers are struggling with just simply taking that first step and getting started, which is why we hosted this event today. Today, we have a team of Power Platform experts who are extremely passionate about this topic and are here to help you replicate the success at Sone. The RockHop team here works with all of their customers to identify use cases and solve business challenges across the org. Today, we're solely going to be focusing on HR because we understand that there's a new generation of workforce out there that highly values the onboarding experience, and we want to find new and innovative ways to interact with them. With that being said, I'll hand it over to my colleague from the RockHop team, Paige, to kick us off.
Thanks, Tina. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to share my screen, so we'll just jump into the presentation here. Hopefully everybody can see that.
We can.
Great. Well, welcome everybody. We're so glad that you decided to join us today. Hopefully we leave you with some things to think about and feeling empowered to drive this within your own organizations. There we go. So our agenda for today, we'll go over introductions throughout as people are presenting, but we'll talk first around some customer success that we've seen personally with our own customers. The reason that we're addressing this challenge is because we've heard that it's a theme across the organizations that we work with, and also it's been a challenge in the companies that we have personally worked within prior to RockHop. So we understand the importance of this process and are really excited about the value that Power Platform can drive within the HR onboarding process. Then I'm going to hand it over to Venice. Venice is one of our solution architects, and she's going to run through just a very quick overview of Power Platform. We like to start with education because Power Platform is ever changing and evolving and growing. And there's so many components to it that can really help organizations. And so we'll just start kind of setting the stage and the foundation there. And then she's going to jump right into a demo of the solution that we've built around onboarding automation, and talk through some ways to extend the solution to integrate with a lot of the systems that many of you probably have and are using today. I am having a real issue with PowerPoint. There we go. All right, so just a very quick overview about RockHop. We are a Microsoft partner fully dedicated to Power Platform. We were founded by a group of, including myself, industry veterans who have worked with customers for many years around implementing Microsoft solutions to meet similar needs that we're driving with Power Platform. And we are excited about Power Platform because we believe that it's truly transformative. So we've worked together for a long time and decided it was time for us to get back together. We like working together, and so Power Platform is the opportunity to really drive value within our customers. And so at RockHop, everything we do, we ensure that we can measure it and measure the value that it's driving and the ROI that you will get from the solution. So whether that's saving money by eliminating other licensing costs within your environment, or decreasing the amount of time that you're spending on manual tasks, or saving money, saving hours, all of those things that really drive value within an organization. And if we can't measure it, we might decline to engage on it, or we'll find something that will be higher value for you. We believe that if we can't measure it, we're not working on the right things. So HR onboarding is one of those areas where we know that it drives high value within organizations and can definitely measure the ROI on it. All right, so like I said, the reason that we're addressing this problem is because we are hearing this theme throughout our customers, and it's also been a problem for us as new employees at organizations getting onboarded into the organization or into our new companies. And so just a couple of quick stats around employee onboarding and hiring new employees. The average cost of hiring a new employee is $4,700. So it's obviously very important to retain those employees because you're investing so much money and time into bringing them on, and not to mention finding great people that are qualified for the roles that you have open. Only 12% of U.S. employees surveyed by Gallup believe that their company has a great onboarding experience. That was a little bit of a shocking number for me. So obviously there is, a huge gap to fill. And then companies that had a great onboarding experience experienced a 52% higher retention rate. So a lot of turnover happens within the first year of employment and even within the first 90 days of starting with the company. And so having that first experience with your new company that you've chosen to work for and take a role with really sends a clear message that you are empowered and that you're taken care of. And that you're going to be supported as you get up to speed in your new role and, get to that point where you're providing value in your role and providing value to the organization more quickly. And then on average, an organization has 54 onboarding tasks. So that's 54 tasks across 7 to 10 departments. Even more people and, a lot of interaction between the different departments and back and forth. And so we're going to talk to how you can make that a lot easier today. So I've put together a case study here or a use case around kind of common themes that we're hearing around the onboarding process. So in this scenario, we have a global company who it has, 5 departments located around the world, and they utilize a lot of disparate systems to do recruiting, manage their workforce, and then other systems that integrate across that process to get signatures on documents, give access to systems, set up in payroll, get the benefits process started. And so in this scenario, the employee's data starts in the recruiting platform. And so they are hired in. There is some personal data that's gathered throughout that process. They then, generate an offer letter within their recruiting platform. That offer letter is taken and manually put into DocuSign. And then once that is signed, there's information gathered from the hiring manager as well as the new hire and then manually put into Workday. And so there's a lot of manual steps. And then from there, a checklist is completed between different departments, and there are email updates or updates via Teams that the tasks have been completed. And so it's a lot of moving parts to track and make sure are completed. So the business value of this solution is obviously to reduce time required from each department to complete the tasks. So I don't know about you, but if I have a lot of manual steps that I have to do to update people that I've completed something, and I have to remember all of that, that's a lot of mental load, and things get missed, and it impacts the employee experience. And so I think ultimately we're here to create that outstanding employee experience that will be so impactful to the employees as well as the company. So for the solution to solve this issue, we use Power Automate to create integration between the recruiting platform for offer letter generation and then automatically moving that over to DocuSign. We can use the AI builder piece of Power Platform to pull in information from the offer letter and then create that position in Workday, automatically pull over all the information that has already been gathered for that employee. So you're not doing things repetitively and redundantly. And then creating a Power App that can facilitate the new hire checklist. It can integrate with DocuSign for the document completion, all those terrible tax forms that we all have to fill out when we start, benefits information, NDA, employee agreements, all of those things. We can automatically create Active Directory account creation, and Venice will show you this in the demo and in the solution that we've created. Assign that person to the correct security roles, and then from there, set up accounts in other systems that they may need access to. And then also coordinate those first day employee communications. So the employee starts, they automatically have an email that directs them to maybe a portal that goes through all the training they need to complete or things that they need to read to get up to speed on the company and in their new position. And then also schedule those new hire meetings. Hopefully you're meeting with your employees when they start. And so, automatically scheduling those meetings with time zone consideration and ultimately creating that great experience. So that said, I am going to, I don't know why this is doing this. I'm going to hand it over to Venice. Venice, I'm happy to drive with the slides here, and I can just click through them as you are ready.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Paige. And we can dive into the first slide of this section. Like Paige said, we're going to start with a little bit of a Power Platform overview here to set some context. We have some folks on the phone who haven't seen Power Platform before, so I want to bring everybody along and set the stage here of why Power Platform, why does it exist, and why should we care to use it. So Power Platform was developed because Microsoft recognized that there is a gap between the amount of pro developers that are in the market and the amount of automation that companies need today in their business. And hearing that, some of you it may resonate with you in your own companies, because a lot of customers we work with, we hear that the IT group has a long backlog of requests, and it's hard to get to everything, right? We also are hearing that the business has a lot of ideas that they would like to see, right? Frontline workers, people who are working the business every day, involved in the processes, see and recognize things that could use improvement, but don't have the tool set that can necessarily implement those things. And that's really where Power Platform comes into play and can be a huge differentiator for those customers. So Power Platform exists to empower frontline workers to make the changes that they see the opportunity for, but previously, before Power Platform, hadn't been empowered to do anything about. So I hope this is exciting to hear as HR, because you are the folks that really understand how onboarding works in your company. You know where the opportunities are, where some of the repetitive tasks are, and we're here to give you the tool set and know-how to really change that and help start to automate some of those things. That being said, if we move on to the next slide, if we have any pro developers on the phone, please don't feel like this is also not the place for you. Power Platform is the place for really all of our makers. So it is the place that people that are citizen developers and pro developers can come together to help bridge that gap between the automation that's needed in the industry and the amount of pro developers that are there. We call this a fusion team, and this is really where the magic happens of working together. So there's something here for everyone. If you're just getting started, or if you're coming from the perspective of you're in IT to get already and you have development experience, you're accelerated by using the Power Platform. You're not held back in any way. The work that you do would probably happen a lot faster by using some of the tools on the Power Platform, for the reasons that were on the slide that we saw a little preview for. If we want to go to the Microsoft Cloud diagram. Why Power Platform is so powerful, one of the reasons, and one of the reasons why it helps is accelerating pro development, is because it is built on Microsoft Azure and has the integrations for identity and security that Microsoft provides. So a lot of the things that we previously had to take into consideration when doing custom development are already accounted for by using the Power Platform. we're able to build upon the investments that we already have by using Microsoft technology, and we have those built-in integrations. This is really important when considering whether you want to go out and find a new recruiting tool or another piece of software that's on the market versus considering building on the Power Platform. The integrations really accelerate what you're having to do, right? And we see customers running into the problem of, if we go and buy a new software for every use case, we have the in-between parts to deal with, right? Trying to make our ERP talk to our recruiting app and so forth, and they don't talk to each other. And oftentimes that means that a human is in between them, helping them communicate. We'll move on to the next visual that kind of encompasses that, right? Of this is where Power Platform can really add a lot of value as well. Building between some of these already invested upon technologies that your company has. We may be on the phone thinking, we can't choose to be all on Microsoft right now, right? There's some pieces of our technical landscape that have been there forever. They feel like these pillars, right, that have all of our data within them for the business, and we really rely upon them. We can't consider moving that right now. This is also an opportunity for Power Platform to help bridge in between some of these pillars and automate them talking to each other so that humans don't have to be the ones to take data from one to the other. So it's two parts of having the opportunity of building upon the Microsoft Cloud and all of the bonuses that come with that of identity and security already built in there, but then utilizing the Power Platform connectors to bring in those other pillars of our technology that exist. So that's why we want to use Power Platform, and that's why we've chosen that as the solution for our demo today and our business as a whole. Okay, all of that being said, we have a HR demo of how we can use those tools to solve for the problem that's on the screen now. So this is a mind map that's meant to encompass what one HR process can be of new employee joins the company, right? It sounds simple, but all the folks on the phone know it really isn't that simple because all of these things that are involved, right? I think the number we heard previously was up to 50 tasks to onboard a new employee joining. So HR has things that they need to deal with, right, of tasks that they need to get done, but they also have to communicate with these other groups and make sure that they get their tasks done all before the date of when the employee joins to make sure the employee has a great experience, that they have everything they need. And this happens over and over again, right? Of every time a new employee joins, we need to do all of these things. There may be overlapping tasks, different schedules, and it can be a lot. Why this is a great use case for Power Platform is because there are a number of repeatable tasks, right? We expect to do the same thing or some variants of the same thing every single time. And we are working internally here with these different groups, and we can tag in these different groups. So this is the problem that we're going to solve, and we're going to show you how that looks within our Power Platform demo. So I'm going to bring over my screen and start to share. Okay. And we are going to start with a Power App. Now, this is a Power App in Teams, and I'm looking at this from the perspective of a hiring manager. This is just an example of how you could start to kick this off, and we'll talk more about the variances that we could do to tailor this to your business. But for this example, I'm a hiring manager, and I'm letting HR know that we are ready to onboard Andrew Ryan Smith. His email is andrew@gmail.com. That's his phone number. To keep it clean, he'll report to me. He's going to be a demo consultant. He is going to sit in the marketing department. We input his salary here, and he's going to start on the 17th, but if he doesn't accept his offer by the 12th, we want it to expire. And we're going to submit that. One of the goals of our onboarding automation is to limit the amount of times that people are inputting data, right? So something really important here that you're going to see is that this, it's going to be input one time, and now we're never going to type in any information about this candidate again, right? So the system is going to take care of sharing that data and moving it along the process in a secure way. And we don't need to do any type of emailing of the data or copy pasting it to a different system, right? We're going to rely on the Power Platform connectors and automation to do that. By submitting this workflow, I am letting, as a hiring manager, I'm letting HR know that I would like to onboard Andrew. What that has kicked off is an approval workflow so that HR can review the information and decide whether they want to move it forward in their onboarding process. What that approval looks like is it comes in two places to best fit your business. It looks like an email, and the same format is shared in Teams. So people can approve it either way, and it's synced in the same place, right? So you can't approve it twice. It doesn't duplicate. We're able to share whatever data is needed in this approval and format it to best fit our needs so that I can see loud and clear an HR approval is being requested of me and all of the data that I would want in order to inform my decision about an approval or not. So I see who their manager is going to be, their name, their start date, the base salary, right? And based on that, I'm able to approve. I'll show you the Teams view so that you see both of them. And it's in the same format. So I'm able to say, looks great. And as HR, I say, yes, let's go for it. What that does is that has approved, and I'll show you here that it is synced in email, right? And now we see that the request has been completed. So because HR approved in our business, that means we're ready to send the offer letter. We're showing you these pieces that are really tools in the tool belt, and these steps can be tailored to fit your business, your process, your requirements, right? They don't have to happen in this order specifically. But our demo spins up a offer letter now based on the approval of HR, and we send it to the candidate. So this is what that looks like. That's the alert that it's happening, and this is the DocuSign email. So based on the information that I input in the very first step, right, our candidate is getting the alert now of their official offer letter in DocuSign. So we rely on another Power Platform connector for that integration. I don't have to go input the information, copy pasting it from our tracking system into a Word document and upload it to DocuSign and send it out, right? We are relying upon the integration so that the data stays consistent. We minimize any errors that could happen by manual input, and we save a lot of time by automatically creating this DocuSign. As you see, we have a personalized letter to the candidate, so it's addressing Andrew specifically with his role and his instructions to sign this offer letter. The offer letter is branded to our company and is really tailored to exactly what position Andrew is going to be in. So we have his role, his salary again, and all of the information that I input the very first time. This is really, really powerful. This is an example of going outside of just the Microsoft technology, right, and relying upon one of the connectors to get our work done here. Alrighty, as Andrew, I am going to accept the offer, and Andrew is now ready to be employed. So now that kicks off what is a process of onboarding Andrew and getting everything ready for his start date at our company. That usually entails at a lot of customers that we've seen emails going out to different groups and sharing data via email to alert people and assign them tasks, right? To say, hey, we need to get this done before Andrew comes on board. Instead, we're using a model-driven app within Power Apps to manage all of the employees that we have coming on board and what tasks still need to be done to have them successfully onboarded. First, looking at this app, we see we have a list of employees actively onboarding. Let me refresh it so that we have our new item. And we can see this list is dynamically updating to reflect who has been submitted from the organization to start being onboarded and who we need to manage their status of, right? So now we see Andrew is down here. We have his start date, all of the information being dynamically pulled into this list. But thank goodness that he's farther down the list and he's not in red yet, right? So my eye is drawn to some of these status markers we're able to add to say, hey, Eddie is starting today. He still has something to be onboarded, right? And I can click into that and see what's going on with Eddie. Why is he still on this list? And somebody less urgent, but coming up on the 12th, Susie is still onboarding. So we're able to start creating some intelligence around the data that we have for onboarding, right? Bringing it out of email and Excel and being able to act upon it and automate around it. We're also able to create graphs and dynamic filters in this app so that we can really drill into the data that we care about. So if we really want to filter upon how many people do we not have onboarding complete for, we're able to create those charts and graphs and really drill into that data. But like we had in that mind map, we know that it's not just HR dependent, right? We're dependent on reaching out to groups like IT to have them complete their tasks, get the new laptop, spin up the Active Directory user account, etc. And so in the past, we've seen emails going out to them and sharing that data. Instead, we're able to create a dynamic list for just IT as well and share that with them so that they have their own checklist within this app that is working off the same data source, right? We're not copy and pasting the data. We know that it's the right data, the reducing errors in that way. And we have insight into the status on, is IT done with their tasks yet or not, right? Because we're all working off that same data source. So within IT's queue for who they need to onboard, their list is longer. We have Andrew in here as well, who we just created. If I click into Andrew, I see what tasks IT specifically needs to do to onboard Andrew. Something to call out here is payroll information is not shown. So we're able to put column security and roles in place so that the data that is shared with these different groups is tailored to only what they need to see, right? And nothing more. So for IT's tasks, they're not setting up his payroll system. They don't need to know his salary. They only need to know his name, title, etc. in order to complete their tasks. I have this bar across the top to instruct me as IT looking at this, what I need to do. And my first task is set up Azure Active Directory account. And I have a little button here. This is just an example of how you can run a Power Automate flow. We've seen the previous example of it being kicked off automatically, right? So you can do it where there's no touch involved. You can also set up Power Automate so that you can control when the flow runs if you want that by opting in and selecting this button format as well. So for this example, we're going to say run flow, and we are telling the system that we're ready to set up Andrew's Azure Active Directory user account and to add Andrew to the Active Directory groups that we want him to be a part of based on the marketing department group he is in. So all I have to do is say run flow, and the Power Automate flow is kicked off. I don't have to go into Azure, manually input Andrew's information, manually add him to the groups, right? All of that is being able to be handled based on the Power Platform connectors once again. We'll show you that Andrew was created. If we click into Andrew, we see that it just happened. As of 11:40, Andrew was created in Azure Active Directory according to the nomenclature for his email that we selected. I'm going to refresh again so we look at the memberships. A question that we often get here is, okay, if we're automatically creating the user account, how are we going to share the password and such with Andrew? We're able to do that automatically as well by having the system either set the email or having Andrew sharing the password with Andrew to be reset and including that in a scheduled first day email. So all of that can be automated, no touch as well. I click into memberships here and I see that not only is Andrew's user account set up, but he was added to multiple groups. He was added to these groups because we have automation in place to map different departments to different groups. And Andrew is in marketing, but we have the page to empower HR specifically to say, hey, for marketing, we want anybody in the marketing department to be added to these Active Directory groups. And we want to do that every single time. So we see that marketing collateral, solution hop are the same groups that he was added to here. Why this is really powerful that it's a page is we're able to create consistency around it right? And so therefore automation. But we're also able to take the dependency off of the IT department to add them to the groups, to maintain the mapping, and move it into HR, who's responsible for onboarding and getting these people the access that they need, right? So it's really about empowering the people that do the work and taking the dependency off of IT. Okay, so I'll go back to the onboarding process and just finish it up with Andrew since we're almost done. I'll let HR know that I've set up the Active Directory account by marking that complete. And then we're also able to control some of these manual fields here for the things that require it. So I've acquired his laptop, and here's his serial laptop account, for example. All of these things can be tailored, these steps can be tailored to what the business requires, what groups need to be involved, what the tasks are. And then all of them individually, we can consider what can be automated, what makes sense to be automated for the business, and what we want to keep manual, right? So it's like that bigger process can be tailored, and then all of these things individually can be fit to your business. And Andrew is complete, and Andrew falls off the list for IT's onboarding to-do list. Wow, that is super powerful, right? HR doesn't have to communicate anything to IT or ask for any updates or reminders. It's all done and handled by the app. We also are able to automatically get updates about it. And we can set up reminders if necessary for IT to say, hey, so-and-so's onboarding, and this is still open. Can you please finish this up? So we're able to fit it to the business as necessary. All righty. The last piece that I'll call out that we've gotten questions about is scheduled start dates. So we've heard a lot from HR that there is a need for communication, right? There's a lot of communication. HR is responsible for greeting people on their first day, getting them all the information that they need, etc. So by having start date in this list, we are able to schedule things around the start date, and we can move that responsibility from HR manually keeping up with what the start date is going to be and making sure things happen on that time. Instead, we can schedule a day one welcome to say, hey, since it's Eddie's first day, right, welcome Eddie Thomas, and send it on today and account for the time zone that Eddie is in if necessary, right? So really we can do whatever the business needs in terms of tailoring the information in the email, making it a meeting, attaching things to that. The communication plan is ultimately determined by the business, and we're able to create automation around that start date. Alrighty, that is the end of our demo here. The last thing I'll go over is just why that matters and what we saw. So why this is a great use case for Power Platform, right, is really these core 3 things we're able to do of make our data dynamic, gaining insights from the data. We saw that an example for having that dynamic list that we're able to track, report on, sharing data at the right amount of data that folks need access to at the right time, and scheduling communications around that data so that we don't have to keep track of that. We're able to act on our data from there via the model-driven app, and we're able to automate the things that make sense for the business. like the DocuSign, the Azure Active Directory account, etc. How I want to make sure that I really call out here of how it can be tailored to your business, right? All of that was an example of how we can use the tools to solve a common onboarding process that we see. But like the use case that Paige called out at the beginning, not every onboarding process works the same way for every business. So these are tools in your tool belt that we can apply to your process to really personalize it to your business. What that can look like is instead of entering information into a Power App, if you're already entering that information into a different software, let's use that as the start of the process and really maintain not entering that data anywhere else, right? But carrying it forward, utilizing the connectors. And then if instead of just HR and IT as the onboarding workflows that we saw as an example, you rely on 5 different groups for onboarding employees, we can create however many workflows are necessary to really fit how your business runs and operates. So the world is really, we can tailor it to your business. Alrighty, Paige, I'll hand it back over to you.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Venice. If you all have any questions or things that are specific to your organization that you didn't hear us address, feel free to post those in the chat, and then I'll also put our contact information up here. It occurred to me that we did not introduce ourselves, which I always forget to do. I just want to jump right in. So my name is Paige Midness. I'm a co-founder of RockHop, and I lead our customer experience team. I wanted to just fill you in on a solution that we have available. So what Venice just ran through, we have created a solution that we can essentially snap into your environment and customize as needed, but it allows you to do the basics of the onboarding process or automate the basics of the onboarding process. So our solution includes that onboarding dashboard that Venice showed you, the intake form to gather the information, pre-approvals for documents and signatures, automatic Active Directory creation and security role assignment, and then the pre-built process flows that she went through for the different departments that are pretty common within the onboarding scenario. And then up to 4 employee onboarding communications, including the day 1 welcome. And we can customize those communications to you and the messaging that you need to send out or links that you need to provide to onboarding sites and things of that nature. And then we can build off of that solution from there with additional integrations with common systems that we see, things like ServiceNow, Workday, ERP solutions. So the base price for the solution that Venice just walked through is $12K. And then we can offer some out-of-the-box integrations and automations, and then also do custom integrations as well. So those would be scoped separately. So reach out if you are, go ahead to the next slide, Venice. Reach out if you are interested. Here's our contact information. Our emails are also on our website, but we hope that you guys found this helpful today and that you see a path forward in solving these challenges in your organization. So we'll give you guys just a minute if you want to post any questions in the chat. We'd be happy to answer those, or feel free to reach out and we can talk about your specific scenario and business use case. All right, if there are no questions, we hope to hear from you all. We'll follow up with a recording of this. Feel free, and we'll also probably break this up and put this on our YouTube channel. It's just RockHop is our handle. Actually, no, I don't think that's right, but I will send a link out to that with the email with the follow-up. And we'll include the recording out there as well so you can share it within your organizations. So everybody have a great weekend. Happy spring. Hope you found this helpful. Thanks for joining us.